breath weapon, and then give them that little Ziploc bag that you farted in earlier. They smell this.
You load it into the air cannon, and just lob an invisible bomb over. Choking gas. Stinking cloud.
You'll remember this for your whole life.
Oh, hey.
Hey.
How's it going?
Hey, not bad.
Hey, not bad?
Yeah, hey, not bad. Hey, not bad.
Yeah, you must be Canadian.
What does that say?
Oh. What do all of those signs say? No shtick? No shtick, no shtick, no shtick.
Oh, just read the note? Oh, okay.
Trying to cancel my creativity.
What's a shtick?
I don't know. I'll just read the note. Let's just read the note. Attention, read out loud exactly what's written on this note, or be destroyed and replaced. Welcome to Caffeine and Cantrips, the show where we talk about D&D, or else. Hello, storytellers. I'm Byron, number 272. And today, we're going to be talking about the big ring, the main event. Any seasoned DM, player, or even Sean, number 243.
Oh.
Knows that a boss battle can make or break a campaign. It's the climactic moment where all the pieces come together and the players have a chance to prove their mettle. It's the ultimate test of their skills, tactics, and all of that crazy gear that you gave them throughout the campaign. Don't do it. So, clear your mind and get ready to learn some tips and tricks for redesigning and running unforgettable boss battles. Let's make some memories that we talked about for years to come. Never interrupt the note.
That's why I'm number 243. Well, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Caffeine and the Cantrips. Yeah, glad to have you. Today, I guess what?
Just clicking into gear real slow. You're like a nice, smooth transition.
Right, you gotta get one. You make sure the clutch is down just right, and then switch it to anyway. I've lost my train of thought. What we're talking about today? We're talking about the final countdown. The big O, apparently.
Oh, well, the one.
Oh, the one O.
The one.
That's different.
Before
different than the big O.
Yeah. Feel Destroy is coming on. Yes, we today are talking about designing that epic conclusion to your rise in action right before you get to your denouement of...
You said it.
I did. I've been practicing my Onion Man skills.
Yay. Onion Man.
Yeah, the Onion Man, denouement.
Oh.
Or the new man. I can't even remember my mnemonic.
The Onion Man.
Yes, we're talking about that today. How to really connect that final masterpiece that you have with your campaign. Last week, we talked about that crown, which holds all the jewels upon it.
Yeah, the villain.
Being the villain, being that grand antagonist that you've got out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think today we wanted to really talk about that final moment.
Yeah, it's important, right? Because that final moment can really make or break your campaign.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at what happened to Sword of Thrones.
Sword of Thrones?
Yeah.
Yeah? What happened in Sword of Thrones?
Huh? It was a bad ending and it ruined the whole thing.
Ah, yes.
Right.
Blamaris, the rad, unfortunately.
Yeah, just ruins it, right? Like you can have a great campaign, but if your conclusion, if your climax is subpar, say, or not up to snuff, it can really bring down the whole campaign because of it. So I think it's really important to talk about it.
It was a delicious meal, but...
Right, exactly what goes into building and what makes the last battle epic.
Yes.
Right? So yeah, hopefully by the end of this, you guys will be like, yes, I know what I need to do, right? Or at least what to think about when you're going through and you're designing your final battle.
Well, I think, let's dig into it.
I like digging.
Then let me provide you a shovel. I like, you said the end, right? Right at the very end, how it needs to finish off.
Mhm.
But where does it start then, right? Like, let's look at the full conception of
In a
what
tavern.
we're talking about. Yeah, in a tavern more often than not, which is a great allegory to say that, yeah, your final clash, your final conflict really starts right after session 0, right after you've decided what the campaign's going to be about, what the themes are going to be dealing with, what kind of stuff is going to exist in the world. You know, you might say it's more poignant to really direct it to the first time that the PCs interact with the main villain or your BBEG's kind of story arc.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first time. But is it? Like, I think we talked about last time that there has to be a believable, tangible history to them, right? And so while the players are developing their own, there is an existing one for the villain, because the villain needs to have their own story arc as well. So really, the final clash starts as early as possible in the campaign to add to the flavor, to add to the feeling, in my opinion.
You can certainly see it that way, I think. I think you can see it as maybe the final clash beginning or just the build up to the final clash, I guess. But it's all connected for sure.
It is. And it's kind of this, or should be the slowest burn in the entire campaign, as you're kind of getting to it and then you understand what's going on. But we'll skip ahead as we go through this. But I think that, yeah, when you're really looking at this and where it started, you have to really make sure that you have a clear understanding of what this villain is going to look like, right? When we're designing their climactic, like, penultimate battle, what is going to be,
penultimate.
Yeah.
But that's, anyways, sorry.
Oh, okay. Yes, their penultimate battle. I thought I said anyway. But yes, when we get to that defining moment, that time where you get 100% of the intensity.
No, keep going. Sorry,
I'm trying to, but I want you to have your 2 cents in this pie. Nonetheless, I'm going to cut you off anyway. So when you're going about it, how does this look to you? How is it supposed to look? How is it supposed to feel? Right? We talked about going through our descriptions, making sure that we're talking about the 5 senses, or at least a few of the senses at any given time. But how does that really impact you when you're thinking about it? What type of villain dynamic do you have? Do you have the brute? Do you have the schemer? Do you have the smart one? Do you have the, Cthulhu kind of ender, or like unknowable god creature thing, destroyer, right? Multiversal kind of damnation coming at the party. Really understand what it is, the dynamic that you're trying to express with this thing, because you need to fully encapsulate it into like a nice, neat little package that becomes this epic boss battle at the end. And which one you choose will really talk about what I like to kind of figure is separating the foreground of the fight and the background of the fight.
Okay.
So seeing what that is, if you're fighting this unknowable astral horror, right? Where are you fighting it? Are you fighting it, in a nice meadow with, field flowers swaying nicely in the breeze, and Bambi's mother in the background hopping around, right? And you're like, oh, this is really nice, as like the Cthulhu tentacles are smashing down and psychic attack.
Right.
It doesn't fit, or maybe it doesn't fit for the entire thing, but you're hopping around through multiversal things. Okay. Look at the setting around what's going to be happening, because you get to design their lair or their environment that this is going to happen. The altar where the ritual is being cast, the portal where the creature is trying to break through into your dimension, right? All of these sorts of things.
No, I'm
hilarious today.
No, I'm just imagining Bambi and like Thumper trying to like stop this eldritch ritual while like this tentacle eldritch monsters coming through the cracks of reality.
I like it. I like Takesis just like burning through the barrier, and Thumper's there. Mama said, if you can't say nothing nice, don't say nothing at all. Right? What? And then it's like, Mercury, right? Okay. Yes. Good. I'm glad. I know you I like your Disney metaphors. But yes, look at the foreground, which is and really needs to be focused on your BBEG, big bad evil guy. And the background needs to be everything around them, everything that they've built, everything that they've accomplished, or maybe in the way that you've planned it, the ruins of what they've accomplished, that the PCs have undone all of the destruction that they've wrought on the village, and now rising like a phoenix in the burnt remains of your big bad's castle. Now the real fight begins. right?
Right.
Set the scene, make it matter. And with that, right, make sure that you're managing your theme. Is this a grimdark theme? Is it a comical theme? Like
Right.
your villain needs to match those things. Even on top of the dynamic, your villain needs to match what's going on. If it's a lighthearted, forest friends kind of thing that's happening, then we need a villain that fits that theme.
Right.
Right. So all of these things need to go into that design. And I think really more than ever, and I know we've always said it's always time for RP. It's always time to like get in there and really make sure that the story's evolving, the story's put first. This is the time where it has to really rear its ugly head over and over again.
Right.
Right. This is why we're here. This is why I'm reminding you of the past and how we got to where we're at now. This is how I'm going to add to the stakes and the values. And we'll talk about that kind of stuff. Right. But I'm going to remind you why it is that you hate me or that you love me.
Remind me why I hate you, Byron.
Oh, if we had the time. But these are the things that you're going to want to emphasize because you need to feed back into these emotions, into the theme. This is your last chance to leave that kind of bold finishing statement, that signature.
Oh, they mean the final battle. The final battles are your last chance.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Right. That's where you're starting. And because everything after that is just how things sort out. Right. You're now the heroes. You're now victorious. You get to celebrate. It's moving towards epilogue time. Right. So with that, this needs to be the last and most exciting, should be the most exciting part of everything that you've designed.
Right.
Yeah. So I think it's going to come down to a lot of things. You want to say something?
No, I like it. That the whole idea of you need to the design. I guess the design of the final battle doesn't start with just the final battle. It starts from the beginning of the campaign. Right. It's like if you're cooking a dish in a restaurant. If you're plating it, that's plating the food. That's the last battle and delivering it, right?
Right.
Whereas everything, but you still need to make sure you have the right ingredients. It needs to be prepared correctly. In the
All
right
the carrots
order.
need to be chopped to the same size.
Right.
The potato needs to be
make sure you have the right
rare.
ingredient for the right dish. Right? Is it? Do you want it medium rare? Do you want it well done? You don't want it well done, but do you want it rare? Right. That steak.
Do you want it well done?
Right. Not saying it's bad, but come on.
Yeah. There's only certain people.
But right, and so it's really important to set your stage right to be able to plate that perfect dish.
Absolutely.
Right, which is the end of your campaign. And so like it's funny, like a bowl of spaghetti is a metaphor for years of D&D campaign.
It can be,
right?
It
For
can
sure.
be. Yeah, if you're disorganized and you're not ready and you're maybe out of your depth, this is your first time,
right?
And you haven't been putting these elements in, yeah, you might be serving a bowl of spaghetti. And that's okay.
Well, I love spaghetti.
I love spaghetti too.
Right? Mom spaghetti. But like you should have that recipe right from the beginning.
Yes.
Something
yes.
At least a guideline to so you can sort of plan out where you're going so you know where to start type of thing.
Well, we always keep coming back to food metaphors, but I love eating. It's really we all do, Sean. I think that it's a really great comparison when we also talk about the water slide, right? Your campaign is going, you have your initial recipe, you taste. Oh, needs a little bit more salt. Oh, needs a little bit more pepper. Right. We adjust on the fly. Ultimately, we're still serving a bowl of spaghetti. Sure. Right?
Yeah.
But we have flavored it. We have measured it. We have made sure that the product that we're delivering at the end is exactly what we need it to be.
Right.
Exactly the way that we've designed it and reactively changed it to be quintessential for that moment. And so to get to that point, there's things that we talked about in the last episode. So if you haven't gone and watched that, do go and watch that. Maybe
21?
20.
20.
Yeah. Today we're 21.
Are we?
I think so.
I don't know.
Okay.
It's number 243 for me, apparently.
272. When you're going, do make sure that you've created that orthogonal development, right? That area that we talked about to make creative things happen. You have to have developed that to get to your bowl of spaghetti. This is going to be a reoccurring thing. Make sure that you have developed or given the chance for emotional connection to happen. Because if the players don't care, then this is not going to be epic no matter what you do, right? Get in there, make sure that they have a rich and deep understanding of the motivations, of the history of whoever is being their antagonist. They need to know and understand why it is that they have ended up at the end of their story with these choices, and why the heroes or our protagonists have ended up in a different position, undergoing perhaps a similar set of circumstances, perhaps the same set of circumstances, perhaps completely different, but they've answered the questions in a different way, and now they are at odds with the antagonist, right? So you need to make sure that they have that understanding and know why they're going to do this. Make sure that you've got a great evil with stakes attached, because if you don't have a great evil, then you cannot have a great good that fights it. And then, of course, make sure that history is important, so that they know where they come from. They know where the bad guy comes from, so that they have that. You've completed in writing a story when you can look back fondly, hopefully, as players, on what it is that you've created around the table. Right? I think these are the key ingredients altogether that you're going to need to make sure that you check off those boxes before you enter the final battle.
Right. It's interesting. How do you think you can go about doing that practically? Like, just like, let's say quick couple sentence sort of guideline on how to get started doing that.
Honestly, I think you need to make sure that you are writing goals. Make sure that you're looking
for the villain,
for the villain, for the players. Make sure that you're looking at where they're at in the stories. Look back, like I've said before, look back at kind of your tier checkpoints to see where you're at, where the trajectory is going. If you're not running a 1 to 20 campaign, which I know most aren't, statistically out there, even if you're running a 1 to 12 campaign, it depends how fast you like.
I guess so.
If you're running a 1 to 12, okay, maybe every 3 levels, right? Or maybe every time they get an ASI in general, right? You're 4, 8, 12, yada, yada. Go in and just kind of do a pulse check, right? Like, get in there, see what's going on, see how people feel, get and try and get feedback. Ask good questions as a storyteller from your players or from, the people around you at the table, to see what would you say my character's biggest growth has been in this campaign?
Right.
What is it that you're seeing from what I got?
So do you think, is it better to just sort of build up to, like, just have a starting point, right? Like in the tavern or whatever, and then just sort of build the campaign and leading up to the last battle as you go? Or do you think you should maybe conceive of what the last battle might be, where you want the party to end up, and then sort of work backwards from there?
I think it depends on your story. A lot of you have probably played Skyrim, right? Where you can
belongs to the Nords.
Apparently, I'm not a Skyrim guy.
Come on,
sadly.
Yeah,
but you have the option to join many of the factions therein, right? And so, if your campaign has not already decided who the BBEG is, in your organizational flowchart who opposes who. And so who becomes the antagonist to the protagonist's choices.
Right, yeah.
And they then can kind of become the big bad guy. Or at least representation. The organization itself could become the big bad guy or whatever it is. Right. But I think you can plan out who the bad guy is in your story. If you allow the players to write their own story and have more control over what's going on, then understand which axes of alignment they're joining. Okay. So who is in opposition to their goals? Because ultimately someone is going to be in the way of whatever it is that they're doing. No matter how noble, no matter how just, someone doesn't like it. Right. And so as long as in the sandbox, as long as there's somebody who's strong enough to say no at level 20 or level 15 or level 12, whatever your thing is ending at, then they have been there the whole time. So you can start talking about, the good guys, the bad guys, and everybody in between. And then as the PCs shift their own perspectives, then the world shifts opposite around them.
Okay.
I think.
Interesting.
Yeah. I prefer that long form kind of free expression. When I'm DMing. So I like that thing, but I also know that I can very easily write a story where I know who the bad guy is. Straight up, I know what the story is.
I think for me, I like knowing who the bad guy is first, and then what they do, I can figure that out as in reaction to the players in the party. But I like knowing the bad guy first. So I've already a sort of a framework of context to figure stuff out. Yeah.
Okay, so 2 more sentences. I know who the BBEG of each of my characters' backstories is.
Mhm.
What I don't know necessarily is who the main story is going to create the BBEG to be.
Okay.
So I have multiples.
And you just sort of pick whoever is.
Yes.
Well, you have like that. You have a grab bag full of possible BBEGs.
Correct. Depending on the player choice, depending on the party's choices, but for each player, I know where their stories, where I have mapped them out to go.
Interesting.
Yeah. I like
Interesting.
layers.
Layers like an onion.
Layers.
You like the onion
bowl
man.
made with all my favorite
favorites.
things, right?
KFC. Great.
Hopefully that satisfies that question.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah. If
Good.
not, let us know.
Yeah. And while you're letting us know,
Yeah.
perhaps since you're down there, if you could just like get that thing. I think it's around here-ish. If you could just hit that like button,
Right.
slap that subscribe button.
Mhm. Hit that follow button.
The next source of caffeine or cantrips you enjoy will be the best.
Right.
Mhm.
Caffeine and cantrips.
Mhm.
It's always the best.
That's my personal almost guarantee.
Well, that is the goal, right? To have every episode be the best one.
Oh,
Right.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yes.
No, I like that. The fact that you've sort of given us a place to start thinking about the last battle, right?
Mhm.
How to make it epic, right? You need the epic ingredients in order to have that epic bowl plate of spaghetti.
Well, a race begins when you cross the start line.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, exactly, right. And now that we're at that, hungry for some blast battles. Now that we're at that epic battle, or the final battle,
Yes.
how do you make it actually feel epic? Right? And I think for me, the first thing that pops into my mind is that this idea that there are worse things than death.
Oh, okay.
And your last battle should be more than just about either me dying or my party dying or the BBEG dying. There has to be more at stake than just death, because there are many things worse than death, right? Because, I don't know, by that time, death is kind of trivialized in D&D anyways.
Oh, definitely in 5e.
All right.
Yeah.
So
Permanent death, though. Dun, dun, dun.
right, and it's one thing to have like, oh, the stakes is everyone living in the world, right? But that it feels kind of removed because it's so big to us players, right? It's like, yeah, everyone dies, and it's bad, so don't let everyone die, right? Because right, but I think it's important to make sure that each character / player has a personal stake in the outcome of this battle, this final battle.
Yes.
Right? Because then it matters personally, right? As opposed to, some peasants died, right? 100 peasants died, now I can't resurrect my mother, right?
Yeah, my fighter.
my fighter, yeah. So you need to find out what the characters / players care about in the game.
Yes.
Right. And hopefully you have, because you've had an entire campaign to do so.
Mhm.
And then what you do is to make the threat to whatever is at stake immediate and apparent in that last battle.
Okay.
Right? So, because as players, maybe if, right, like, without this thing, I can't resurrect my wife. That's why I've been doing this whole thing, right?
Right. Shadow
My wife
of the
is
Colossus style.
all right, or my wife is trapped in a bottle or whatever.
Oh.
Right, like what is that spell? Magic jar.
Magic jar, yes.
Right, and I can't bring her back without that. And if it's just locked in the back room somewhere,
Entombment, I think is another one.
yeah.
Right.
But it's out of sight, out of mind. But if it's there,
Yes.
and then if the villain talks about it,
Mhm.
or it's a thing, or there's a threat to that thing,
Mhm.
all of a sudden you can't ignore it. That player, that character cannot ignore the outcomes. It's right there in their face.
Yes.
Right? If I fail, I lose everything, because that's the most important. That's the most important thing to my character. and to my player.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like it's this entire campaign is quote unquote wasted if I don't, if I'm not victorious in this last battle.
Right.
Right. And then that way you threaten more than just the players or the PC's HPs.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because it's not fun when it's just like I punch you, you punch me, and whoever punches the fastest and hardest wins. Right? It's I need to if I do not defeat this BBG, if I'm not victorious, then I lose things. I lose important people, important things. Right?
Right.
And even on another level, my very beliefs are threatened. Right? My ID, my identity, my very identity itself is threatened, right? By losing, right? Or maybe even my morals are now in jeopardy, depending on how this battle goes, right? And all of a sudden, it becomes greater. The stakes are just greater than just people and things, right? Because that's something really fundamental to characters and people, like their beliefs and identities and moralities, right? That's a step up. And so that's a quote unquote easy way of raising the stakes, right? And I would also want to say that the epicness, your epicness, the feeling of epicness in your last battle can only be as big as the stakes are high. So there's not much at stake. It doesn't feel epic.
Third angle, right?
Right, exactly, right?
Yeah.
If the stakes are high, it feels more epic, whichever way it goes, right?
Well, as you talk about this, I'm inclined. Well, as I do, to think about what it is that you say, because I try and listen to you most of the time. And what comes to mind immediately is the Rocky series. Because ultimately, absolutely, but you're getting ahead, right? Cart horse, right? When we're looking at it, ultimately, it is two fighters getting into a ring and just beating the snot out of each other until one of the hit point totals reaches 0.
Right.
But cinematically adding to the story behind it, we follow one of them. We get to like one of them. We get to know what's going on. Oh no, he's fighting for his love. He's fighting to provide for this. He's doing that. No, he's got now he's representing America. Now he's doing that. Now the ideals. It's not a tangible thing that he's doing, and that's what makes it epic, right?
Yeah.
And going in there, Adrian, right? Like that gives you an emotional tie. That's added stakes to what ultimately in that story comes down to a hit point race. Yeah. Right? Yeah. But it's still epic. It's still iconic.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, because it's more than just two men in a ring trying to punch each other.
Because there's a whole story behind it, history.
Right? That's just a focal point.
Yes.
It's everything. And it's so many things.
But this is the meatball sitting on top of your bowl of spaghetti.
Right? Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Is it it's America versus Russia
in one of them.
It's I don't know, the like institution against the underdog, like poor man. It's democracy versus communism. It's so many things, right? So it's bigger now. The stakes are much higher. And I mean the thing about it's great about, because in Rocky it's two guys in a ring. What can happen, I think, in D&D is that because it's usually not one character versus the BBEG, it's your whole party, right? So you have to be careful to don't spread the responsibility across all of your...
Oh, you're saying you have to specifically hurt each and every one of them?
Or specifically have stakes.
All of you.
They need to have their own personal stakes in it, right? So they can't be like, oh, if we fail, it's not my character's fault. It has to be, every person should feel that it's their fault that they fail. So every character has a personal reason to fear failure, right? To have to really desire victory. And it doesn't have to be, but it should, to make it feel epic, it should be a matter of every one of us needs to be victorious. None of us can fail, or all of us fail. Right. Type of thing.
Right. And you can pulse check that. Like I said before, you can ask directly, hey, while you guys are sitting around the fire, what is Mr. Fighter's opinion of the bad guy? right? How have the past couple days affected?
Well, that's
his
all in the
thoughts?
build-up, right? To that.
Yeah, but as a DM, you can ask that specific question, or as a player wanting to find out if you're hurting as bad as the person is beside you. Hey, my buddy Rogue, I'm still like pissed off that this happened. Right. I know stuff like this has happened to you. Can we bond for a moment here and talk about it? But how do you feel about what they did to you? Right. Do you all hurt as bad as I do? Because I really want this. And if you guys don't really want this, I don't know if I want you in that fight. Because I don't know that you have the motivation to carry it through.
Right.
Yeah.
Everyone in the party should be desperate by that point to win. Right? Because the stakes are that high.
Yes.
Now, for sure. And I think if you get those things in there, it really goes a long way to build that epicness, that feeling of epicness in your final battle. Yeah.
Well, because this is the final battle.
Yes, the final countdown.
It has different rules.
The final battle.
The final battle, and
then with non-final battle.
Yes.
Okay.
Then just a regular encounter. I think
I can see
that. It's not written in the rules anywhere. It's not, but there's a special gravity that I think the final encounter has. And one of the things that I think really goes out the window very quickly is the conception of fairness. Now, quick, tiny preamble. The way that the system is designed, especially in 5th edition, right? And in a lot of other TTRPGs, it's designed so that the party systemically has the edge to achieve victory. Right? Make sure that your level 5 characters are fighting a CR5 creature or lower, right? Not a 6, maybe a 6. Not a 7.
Right.
Definitely not a 25. Right? Because yes, there's 5 of them, and 5 times 5 is 25.
It doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way. It's not how. And we know, and we've talked about this before, and we'll talk about it again. The CR system isn't the end-all, be-all perfect system. It's barely a guideline.
It's pretty flawed. Yeah.
Okay. So we still do our best to, on paper, say, yes, this is a quote-unquote fair fight. The numbers add up and whatnot. But remember that the system is designed to allow heroes to be heroes. It is designed for them to be victorious. If every campaign ended in like 2 to 3 episodes because your, first encounter goblins or whatever it is that you're fighting just mopped up every single party and you got to experience what it's like to not be the heroes or not be the prime protagonists. Sorry. Then it would be a completely different game, completely different system. Right. Every game system would be grimdark. Right. So
Souls-like.
Souls-like, right? And that's very different because you can respawn and get back in.
Yeah.
You can't do that when you're rolling dice and you're trying to like create character sheets and create good backstories. And does this character matter? No, it doesn't. Why? Because a wolf just took out our entire party. Damn pack tactics. Right? So
not a wolf. Has to be 2 at least. He went pack tactics.
I was an Echo Knight wolf.
Ooh. We got class.
Never start the howl. Yeah.
Stop it. No howl.
He's his own best friend. Yeah, screw man. He's his own best friend. So when we're going into this, there is a different set of rules. And so this is the time for you really to pull out the stops. This is the time when you say, as the DM, in every encounter before now, I've wanted the players to survive, to succeed,
to grow.
Now you got to earn it. Now I'm not pulling the punches. Now I am the end to your story if you can't survive it. Right. And so the idea of this is the final hurdle to get across, to get into the finish line, to get to the end of the story, means that it needs to be significant. And if I need to drag you all to 1 hit point, and then essentially play basketball with all of or yo-yo with all of your hit points and constantly drag you and grind you and grind you and grind, but you guys struggle and succeed, can be epic.
Right.
Because the struggle was real.
Yeah.
Right. And you felt it as players. You were worried about your characters. You were worried about your wife in a bottle on the big bad guy's hip or whatever it is. Right. You're worried about all these things, and the struggle to persevere becomes this real tangible thing to you in the moment. You will create that memory. You will remember that for a long time. Right. And that's one of the ways that boss fight becomes different rules.
Okay.
Right? The players have been silvery barbing cheesing you all game. It's time to have a backup chorus of spellcasters that are just like, no, we got counter spells. You can use that spell. No, done. No, get that out of here. I know what you do.
You've been doing that all campaign. I have a custom spell.
I get one.
Counter silvery barb.
I'm going to customize my shield spell to block magic missiles and silvery barb.
Right.
Whatever it is, right? That's a legendary artifact, I'm sure. But it's one of the things that really changes. And I think as we start looking at the differentiation between what I would consider a tier 1, a tier 2 or 3, and a tier 4, and then tier 5, I suppose, bad guys, is just how brutal they can be. Right, just how much stuff to pack on the back end. So that's your legendary resistances, that's your legendary actions and whatnot. The more, let's call it, because we like it, the more sideways power that your players have, right? The more that BBEG needs in his back pocket. Yep. So a tier 1, so that's like up to level 5 gameplay. Okay, he's my big bad guy has, or maybe it's a big bad guy, maybe it's just the boss of that time and section. He's got 1 legendary resistance and 1 legendary action that he can take, right? 2 to 3, maybe now he's got 3 and 3. Or tiers 2 and 3, he's got 3 and 3. Tier 4, maybe he's got 5 and 5.
Right.
Tier 5, which I would consider 20th level and above, in case you're there, in case you're dealing with truly apocalyptic stuff. Maybe they have more than 5. Maybe they have 10, right? Because the players have access to all of these things, and your epic fight isn't epic if turn 1, a silvery barb's hold person locks down your BBEG, and then the paladin comes over and auto smites them for 250 damage because he's a hexblade, multi-class with an eldritch smite. Blah, blah, blah. Nope, that fight wasn't epic.
No,
that fight was not.
The stakes were not very high at all.
No. Yeah. So the more fun stuff, and it's not to say to shut down the players with what they're doing. Yeah, right. But just understand that you need to expand the BBEG's toolbox to compensate for the player's ability spread. Right? This is the moment where it's supposed to be tough. If your hold person always locks them down, that's not fun. You got to break that cadence, break what they're used to doing, because I know about that. I've got that in my bat utility belt. Right. Boom. No, it isn't. Boom. No, I got a plan for you.
Especially if you fought them before.
Yes. Well, and that's what minions. I'm going to throw packs of, I'm the schemer, right? So I'm going to throw packs of minions, packs of bounty hunters. Packs
my lieutenant, this lieutenant.
Yes.
What do you guys got?
Yeah. I can always get another lieutenant. I can't get another me. Right. So
Echo Knight.
Echo Knight. There's me's everywhere. These don't start the howl. These are important things to consider, right?
Yeah.
The higher the spell slots, the more devastating some of these kind of control methods become to play from players to your NPCs and your BBEGs. So also, don't let them go in fresh. Your players should never be experiencing. It's a completely different fight if they've used up some of their not all of their resources, but if you've made them use up some of their resources and now they don't have the full breadth of their power, right? It's not first thing in the morning, the battle lines are drawn, you've had a couple days to rest up and prepare, scout each other out, you know what's going on. There's a reason that the boss is at the end of the dungeon.
Right.
They want to get you when you're a little bit tired, even in the video games or whatever. You're a little bit tired, you're a little bit out of focus. You're a little bit whatever. You used up some of your health. You made 2 mistakes a little bit too early, and now you had to play extra conservative to get it, right? We can't just necessarily let you get to the good stuff first, because once again, you haven't necessarily earned it. It's not epic when you're at the peak of your ability, and I only blow through like half of my spell slots. That was pretty easy. I know the fighter's at like 1 hit point, and he's bleeding everywhere. And but that was pretty easy for me. I guess it was kind of a boring fight.
Well, because that fear of failure is not there.
Yes.
The less they have, the more that fear.
Well, the fear of failure in the player.
Exactly.
Right. That's another thing that will be a reoccurring theme that we're talking about is the player needs to be invested in what's going on.
Well, because the characters don't feel it's epic. They're just fighting for their lives. The players are the ones that need to feel that it's epic.
Yes.
And enjoy it because it's epic.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so
like I don't think any World War II veteran was like, yeah, that was epic.
Yeah.
So good. Right? Even the heroes who did like crazy things, they're just like, no, that's what I had to do. I was terrified, but you had to do it.
Well, they paid a heavy price.
They sure did.
Right. And that kind of brings me to the wheel, our 10th episode, make your D&D better, your stories better, right? Map out this fight on a Harmon wheel, right? They're at a place of comfort. What are they doing? They're coming into the boss fight. They think they know everything. Make them uncomfortable. The fighter explodes. Sorry, fighter. You got a diamond, right? You can bring him back.
Yeah.
These types of things, get them around the wheel. Yes, we know what the victory condition is for this part of the fight, this phase, this boss, whatever. Are you prepared to jump on that grenade yourself?
Right.
To stop it? Who's going to do it? Don't diffuse the responsibility. One of you needs to get eaten by the tiger for the rest of the tribe.
Yeah.
The rest of the tribe to have tiger tonight, right? Somebody's got to do it.
Yep.
Which one of us is going to be doing that? Which one of us is going to jump into danger? Once again, that focuses on the players.
Yes.
Right? Which one of us is willing to sacrifice? Because it is a sacrifice. And if it's not a sacrifice, then you're not doing it right. It's not designed correctly at this point. Or maybe your whole table just doesn't care. They just want to roll dice and kill things and get gold and XP, but okay.
Then things won't feel as epic as they could be. That's all. And that's fine. You don't need an epic fight. But if you are wanting an epic fight, these are things that really think about, right?
Well, and, kind of an extension of that is that the big boss guy needs to know the rules of the system as well as the players do.
Well, you should play him like he knows.
Play him as if he knows. Yeah. He doesn't know. Oh, that was a 17. Nope. That's not a crit.
Oh, your AC's 20?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Let me switch my gear around.
No, he should know that the paladin used Dex as a dump stat because he's been watching. He understands.
Right.
No,
like he's not dexterous.
He's not dexterous. We know what to do with that. Yeah. We know that the wizard isn't wearing heavy armor. So I don't need armor piercing arrows. Right? I don't need armor piercing caltrops or whatever. Right. I know that I can deal with these people in different ways and really.
But the warlock likes to cast darkness. Oh, I'm going to get myself some devil eyes glasses or whatever, right?
Yeah, or we just need to clasp something around him, like get him with a lasso, and one of my strong Minotaur characters just pulls on the end of that rope because the wizard's not strong enough to resist the pull, and I'll just pull him out of it.
Right, but I know what you do.
I know what you do. Yeah. I know what your weaknesses are, just like you know what mine are going into this fight. Yeah. Right? We both know where we're vulnerable, and we're both going to try and exploit it, and whoever's more successful could win.
It's funny, because you could say that the boss battle is the only one that actually is fair.
Kind of.
Right, whereas everything before, everything's skewed towards the players.
It's just
now it's a fair fight. Right? Like, I can do what you can do. I know what you can do. You know what I can do. Let's do it.
Everybody's watching game tape. Yeah. No, but it's important because, once again, that hits the players where they live. Yeah. Especially the host. Because when you get mad and you throw the popcorn bowl across the room, somebody has to clean it up. No carpets. I agree with this. I agree with what you're saying here. And oddly enough, though.
So odd.
Don't make your BBEG Jason Derulo. Don't do it.
He's already a BBEG. That's why.
I don't think so. I think he's a pretty decent guy. Jason, I think you're a pretty good guy.
Call us.
No, what I mean by this is, don't ever have your BBEG riding solo. Yes.
I get it.
Yes. There's a reason that they are the head of the organization, or that they're a big, bad, evil person that, is leading a band of evil things. Right. Or they've controlled the elementals of the world, and now the elementals are wreaking havoc, right? There's something that they've done in their power structure, right? That they've got, what you want to call it, assets. They've got allies of their own, and you're not going to just catch them going to the store for milk and eggs, right? Just like, oh, I wasn't expecting to run into you. Can we maybe book this for 2 after my hair appointment? Right? That's not going to happen, unfortunately. It's hilarious if it does, but I don't think it's ever going to work that way.
Depends on what kind of campaign it is, I guess.
I suppose. But it shouldn't if it's going to be epic. That moment is is hilarious. It's not epic.
Right. Correct.
What we're trying to do is make it epic. So do get in there. Do make sure that they've always got a backup buddy. Make sure that the entire party can't surround and pound.
Back up.
Right? Make sure that there's other things going on, even if that's the environment, their lair, right? The ruined castle that we talked about, all of their cool stuff that was going on. Make sure that there's something there that is on the BBEG side, because the whole party is, like you said, a whole party.
Yeah.
Right? It's not fair. It's not fun when the BBEG comes into the camp in the middle of the night and picks off the sentry.
Right.
Well, what am I supposed to do? I can't fight a whole BBEG by myself. I know.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm going to do it again in 2 hours. And I'm going to do it again 2 hours later.
Yeah.
Right. Because I'm going to go for a short rest. And I'm gonna you spend my HD, and I'm gonna come back, and I'm gonna.
Because I know the rules.
Because I know the rules, baby. I'm a coffee lock. Right. Right.
You don't know me spells I have.
I got spell slots for days, or sorcery points. Sorcery points for days, guys.
But I haven't slept in like 3 months. I just have guys casting. What was it? No, not resurrection.
Greater restoration.
Greater restoration on me.
No exhaustion.
Yeah.
Because I know the rules, guys. Yeah, these types of things aren't necessarily.
My backup buddy, same thing. Just fill with counter spells, guys.
Yep. That's all he is. That's all he does is produces rings of spell storing and fills them with counter spells. You cannot, right? Not fun, right? That's not in the interest of fun. And yes, fun is important, but right now, killing the PCs, that's important too.
Right.
And fairly killing the PCs.
Well, it's the setup for this battle, because this is the epic battle that's supposed to be fun.
Yeah. And with that, why it's supposed to be fun, it's also supposed to be cool and epic.
Yep.
Like we just said.
Yeah.
And with that, your boss needs to have a cool mechanic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why
Absolutely.
are they the BBEG? Is it because they can dance real good and dance off bro at the end of the campaign?
The dance off.
No, it's not.
I've seen that movie.
It's because Ronan has the friggin' hammer that could destroy worlds if he simply touches the Infinity Stone on the hammer to the ground. The world is sundered. That's the power he carries. We can't let him do that. We can't let him touch the ground or we lose. So I'm going to distract you. Great. That's a weakness that you can exploit, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Great. When we've talked about that too. You got to have the ability to have that Achilles heel, that one weak point, that spot in the armor where they are weakest. The smog, right? Where the one scale is removed from him, and that becomes his weakness.
Right, the chink in the armor, so to speak.
Yes, I was avoiding that word, but yes, my guy. And what is that? What can it look like?
Sorry.
No, it's good to laugh. Laugh at ourselves. That can look like a lot of things. That can look like, oh, this lich isn't a regular lich. Regular liches can be kind of easy. This lich, much like and what is that? Not an invoker, an abjurer. Creates a shield, a spell shield around them every time he casts. No, this lich is so suffused with necromantic power. Every time he casts, he creates 1d4 skeletons.
Ugh.
This is a 20th level party. What is 1d4 skeletons? It's negligible.
Unless you let it keep going.
But if you don't take care of it, it adds up. Oh, we can't get through. Our melee guy can't get through because he constantly keeps like bringing up a wall of bone in front of him.
Yeah.
Right? And it adjusts the mooks. And if I don't deal with them, they're going to get in the back and they're going to start hitting the druid, the wizard, the bard, whoever's hanging out in the back, the archers, whatever it is, the people with lower AC, the people who are concentrating on spells. If those go down, then this fight's going to go sideways real fast.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But this tiny little thing, and even if you give them all 1 hit point, right? I'm not going to track the hit points on a skeleton versus 20th level parties.
But it's just to suck up actions.
It's action economy. It's an additional stake. Additional pressure that the players feel, right? The characters should be frantic. They should be panicking. They should be worried. The player should feel that pressure, right? If it's not that, every single time you hit the boss, like a Remoraz, bam, I get a heat blast back. I get a radiant. It's an angel that's, become a Justicar and too merciless in its judgment of law. And now everyone's a sinner and it's going to wipe the world clean. Yes, every time I hit it, I get a blast of radiant light. Everybody around it, boom, we all get hit. Right? Your actions now directly have consequences. How do we know this though? How do we overcome it? Or do we just accept it?
Just accept it. Come to me.
Hey, we know that every time we cut it, it bleeds, divine light that burns our flesh.
Mhm.
Okay, guys, pass out the potions of radiant resistance.
Right.
We know that we need these, or else our fighters or our melee martial classes or whatever they
It's gonna
are
go down.
don't get burned to a crisp.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Lesser beings just instantly destroyed.
Yeah.
Your more powerful beings, they get burned until they die.
Mhm.
Right? Okay, no, we need this potion. Maybe it negates, maybe it auto saves for half, whatever it is. This is ways to undo that mechanic, but we know that they're just so suffused with power.
Yes.
Even hurting them on our turns hurts us in return. Chip away at those hit points.
Right. It's like xenomorphs.
Yes, the acid blood.
Mhm.
I think lastly is just like an example, environmental mastery. They are the master of their domain, the king
Right.
of their castle,
Right.
right? I know because of my size in my volcano lair, says the ancient red dragon, that if I smash this or if I stomp, that causes a swollen wake of lava. I don't care if it burns my paws.
Yeah.
Right? I will use this. I will use this. I will swipe my tail across the top of the cavern and drop stones on you.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
Adding difficult terrain to it. Okay, sure, because I know that you guys have small legs and you
Yeah,
can't.
right.
run very
You
quickly.
can't fly
It's
over
not for
things.
me. I can just step over this stuff. But a splash of lava dropping, 3 tons of rock on the party.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, these are real effects
Right.
that they should have mastery over. Right? This is
Right.
their quintessential ability. This
It's
is the
their
cool-
lair,
the
right?
cool things that they can do. And when you go through and you look at the stat blocks, yeah, there's generally a legendary action
Right.
that is their most powerful thing.
Right.
But they can only do it in legendary actions and they don't get
Yeah.
a ton of them
Right.
to do it. Right.
Right.
So it evens out that they can't just blast.
It's only
blast.
so many stalactites.
Sure. Right.
Right.
Or the
Yeah.
piercers need time to crawl back
Piercers.
up onto the top of the cavern.
Yeah.
Right. Whatever it is, there should be some sort of like pool of resources that
Mhm.
they can call on in the fight
Right.
to really emphasize that I am king of this castle.
Yep.
Yeah. And I suppose the last thing that I would want to talk about for now
Oh.
in this thought train is
Choo-choo.
Covenant of Death Station. The closer they get to 0 hit points, and recently the books have started printing mythic actions, which are kind of like a phase shift and
Mhm.
whatnot. But the closer they get to 0 hit points, I would ask you to ask yourself, if you're designing this, do they become more lethal the closer they are to death? Does the fear of death, the fear of defeat set into them where they go, well, if I'm going to die, I'm going to take you with me. Like I can't take my gold. I can't take my magic light. I can't take my power with me to the grave. So I'm going to burn it all down. Right? I've got a Staff of the Archmage. I'm going to snap it. I'm at 5 hit points. I don't care. I know that this power strike is going to sunder me, but it's going
Right.
to kill all of you too. And I'm okay with that.
Mhm.
I'm okay with losing if it means you don't win.
Right. Right.
Right. And that's a good question. How ruthless, how merciless, how crazy, how insane,
Right.
how
How desperate.
even if it's bestial. No, we're fighting this like massive beast, like a Tarask. A Tarask should know when it's getting low on hit points. It should
Right.
know there's a fear, there is a frenzy, there's
Mhm.
a primordial urge to destroy everything. And the rules should change even more so. No,
Right.
I'm not just going to attack that. I'm going to kill that one. Because I know if I can kill that one, things change.
Mhm.
Right. And this fear sets into them, and maybe they start doing irrational things. Right.
Right.
Then that adds to that unpredictability.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just to switch things up, keep things fresh.
Yeah.
Also keeps the fight from getting boring too.
All you can eat pasta bowls.
Ooh. Switch up the meatballs. Switch up.
I want
the
some
sauce.
linguine this time.
Right. I want marinara sauce. Now I want Alfredo.
Tasty.
Right. It's a completely different bowl.
It's delicious.
Speaking of pasta, though, if you guys out there have passed the chance to like and subscribe, here's another chance to do it again. So, or not again, but another chance to actually do it.
Yeah, don't undo it.
Yeah, don't undo it.
Don't undo
That's
it.
my bad.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a good bowl of breadsticks and salad with your pasta.
Right?
Yeah,
That's
I think the best accoutrement.
the aperitif
Mm.
that just add the crowning achievement onto this video.
Costs you
Or
nothing,
episode.
but don't you like it when they fresh grind pepper and parmesan? on top of it?
I do like it.
I do as well. So why don't you grind that like button and smash
Ooh.
that subscribe?
Fresh ground like button.
fresh. Ooh.
Tastes good.
Take some fresh legs ground on that.
Right? No, I'd like...
So hungry.
It's true. And go for some all you can eat.
We're coming, Olive Garden.
The garden. All you can eat olives. Anyways, going back to what you... No, I like how you talked about the battle and making it sort of more interesting and different from the battles, all the other battles leading up to this final one.
I'm glad you agree with me, because I think it should really have a different rule set.
No, absolutely. I mean, I guess you don't have to, but it should feel different because it is different. It's special. It's the last one. Oh, you're special. You're the last one. But Slugfests,
yes,
as in punching, is not fun.
Not all you can eat.
Oh, you can slugs. Oh, on the bowl of pasta.
Not
it's like escargot, but not as good.
No.
Yeah. Right, and I've alluded to this before earlier, but your final fight needs to be more than just an HP race.
Right.
And I think that's where you have to be careful in the balancing of the building of that last battle, because it's more than just fighting a dude.
It has
or
to be
lady.
More. It has to be more.
Because that's not super fun. That's just the mechanics, right? My mechanics against their mechanics, and we've been doing that for the whole campaign, and that's the same as every other fight. Right? That's the same thing as fighting that wolf who howls all the time. As this guy, it's the same mechanic. Yeah, it's the same sort of paradigm. Just my mechanics, my HP, my damage versus your HP and your damage.
Unless the BBEGs tricked them and he's gonna Obi-Wan them, strike me down. I'll become more powerful than ever before. Darth.
Ghost Wolf, stop ghost howling at us. So what you want to do, and you talked about this a bit in just now, is you want to add that. I want to park on this idea where you add elements to that final battle that provide the players opportunities to make interesting choices, because that's what's really fun.
Yes.
Right? So what does that mean, though?
What does that mean?
I don't know. You don't know. I'll tell you what that means.
Okay.
Right? It means adding hoops that your players can jump through. So it's not straightforward. Like I said, straightforward is that slugfest. I hit you, you hit me, you cast fireball, I cast fireball. Whoever has the most, I can remove the guy's HP first wins.
Yes.
Right? So you want to add sort of mechanical choices for the players to make, or moral choices in that battle. Right? You want to add sort of interactivity beyond just the combat mechanics. So like, I don't know, an example of a mechanical choice would be like every so often the boss will put up a big shield around him and start charging up. And hopefully you've taught the players already sometime earlier that, what's going to happen is it's going to do a big blast and we need to get cover. Right? So what do? Do I try to interrupt it? Do I go into cover? Right? That sort of mechanical thing that you have to deal with that's beyond the combat mechanics. Or maybe in the front, he just does a lot of damage because he's got a flamethrower. But in his backpack, you can see he's wearing a pack that has like hoses and stuff like that. And if you play any sort of video games, you shoot that tank and it explodes.
You don't shoot the tank. You shoot the tank.
The tank. Right? So now the players have to go, some players have to go behind him because that's the weak spot.
Yes.
Right? So then who stays in front? Who goes in the back?
Yep.
Right? What happens if he turns around and he sprays?
Yeah.
What if he's that and he explodes sometimes and there's cover? So when do you do what? What happens when? It's all of a sudden a lot more interesting than just, I roll, I attack, I crit, I do so much damage, blah, 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 blah. He does that same back to me, right? There's more to it now.
Yes.
Right? Like he's not invincible face on. I need to figure out a way to get behind him. He keeps turning to face us. Right? But his backup buddy's there.
Yeah.
Or do I need to then take out his backup buddy? But then we're going to concentrate on the backup buddy, what's the BBEG doing? So we need to make a decision now. Right? Who's going to sit and deal with the BBEG while the rest of us deal with the backup buddy and so forth. Right? So that's physical things. Moral choices are like, oh, great, we're beating this BBEG down. Like, oh, she's taking so much damage. And then next round, he goes and he takes a crystal ball from his pouch. He crushes it, and one of the 5 hostages shrivels up and dies. And BBG regains some health and he becomes stronger. Like, what do we do now? He's just killing. Like, we're supposed to save those guys, right? That's the royal family, and now
moral dilemma.
Right now, the crown prince is dead.
Yeah, the guy Royce.
Royce, jeez. Right. So, in more dilemma. So, what do I do?
Yes.
Do we figure out another way to save them first, or do we just beat him down? Because for sure, he's just going to run out of royal family, and then maybe.
Well, if we can kill him fast enough, then he can't crush all the beads. Hopefully,
right? But how many he's going to kill before then? It's all of a sudden moral quandaries.
Yes.
Right. Or what if he has a hostage and sometimes he just lifts them up and just
body block. Yeah.
Body blocks, and you're like, oh, I just friggin' shot a kid right in the arm or whatever, and the kid's just screaming now.
You monster.
Right? So what do I do?
You did that.
How do I can't
to a kid.
All of a sudden the fight is I can't defeat the BBEG just through combat mechanics anymore.
Yes.
Right? So it's interesting. Right? Then what you can do to really wrap things up is say failure to do a certain thing makes things more complicated, more difficult. And if you succeed in doing a certain thing or like defeating a certain mechanic, then it becomes simpler. Right? Or the battle becomes easier somehow. In that way, it works in that Dan Harmon wheel. You can have those things that happen, and because of this happens, and I pay a price, right, or whatever. Like you can work that into the gameplay.
Oh yeah, the thing that I paid was action economy.
Right,
I spent a round cutting the hoses because the tank is too hard. Maybe we can't actually damage the tank, but we can cut the hoses. Okay, great.
Right
now, the tank can still explode. Right, and still do that, but now he can't do the cone thing anymore. Okay, great. Now the fight's easier because we can stand wherever we want. Right, these little things.
Right, or maybe he has that shield. He has that 2 crystal balls. He says, "Would you like me to kill?"
Just a pair of crystal balls.
No. Should I destroy the princess or the prime minister?
Yeah, you guys pick. Yeah,
I can wait all day. All of a sudden, you're like, "Oh, geez, there's no good choices."
Oh, I know which one I'd pick.
The prime minister is really good looking.
Is he?
She? He?
Oh, she?
It?
They?
Who knows, right? Well, maybe the prime minister has been a love interest on one of your party members.
Dun, dun, dun.
Right? Like
political intrigue.
It's more. The stakes are higher than just HPs now.
Yeah, if those 5 people back there are key individuals, one from each of your 5 players, characters' backstories, each person has a personal stake. Who's it going to be?
Yeah.
Which one? Would you like to choose, or should I just grab one out of this bag randomly? Right?
Yeah. And in each of those things that you add, those elements, there should always be a price to pay.
Yep.
For the players, always a price. Like, prime minister, princess. Which one? Right? Or something else. Or if you do something else, they might both die.
Correct.
Right? So then, whether they succeed or not, there should always be a price. And it's up to the players to decide whether the price or the benefit is worth the price that they're going to have to pay for this.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And that makes it interesting. And that raises the stakes. And if you raise the stakes, it becomes more epic. And in this way, though, you can raise the stakes without making it more deadly.
Yes.
Necessarily.
Yes.
Right? So you don't have to worry so much about balance anymore. Right? So that's why I'd like this sort of addition to sort of any sort of important battle. Yeah. And I think, and in that way, that's why I really agree that the last battle is different. The rules are different than every other.
Yeah.
Because if you do that for like the wolf fight in the forest, it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit.
What is up with these wolves?
Crystal? The rabbit? What
I picked the rabbit.
Oh.
And the wolves rejoice. Yes. I like it. One of the things, though, that I think might be slightly left out in your description, and one of the things that's very important in general design is Mario-style learning for these tricks.
Yes. Oh, no, yeah, that's a good point.
Go and say, hey, guys, or hey, DMs, hey, encounter builders, whoever's out there, I need to teach my players what it's like to have an enemy that does constant conal attacks.
Mm-hmm.
I need to make my players understand what it's like when they can pull up a shield for one round.
Right.
I'm going to introduce these mechanics because the BBGs may be given some of their magic, some of their technology, some of whatever, to some of their key lieutenants. And so you can experience parts of the BBG fights, the mechanic of it, where there's less stakes, where there's less penalty for messing it up beforehand. And when they come into it, they go, oh, that's a Nimbus 3000.
Right. And it's even better when they're like, oh, those things combined. Oh, gosh, I never even thought of that. Now what?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So like individually, we figured that out. But together, this is something new.
Right? And he can still attack us from within his magical shield in a cone. Okay.
Right.
Okay. But yeah, combining and adding them in different ways, great.
Yep.
Do that. Do that tons. But if you're going to create anything that's really intricate and then you want to layer it on top, feed them a biscuit every now and then.
You're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Because like, it'll be so overwhelming. You're trying to survive and like, what are we supposed to do? Trying this, trying that. Meanwhile, you're just getting beat down.
Because once again, it's not like Souls, unless you've got some sort of I've come here to bargain, Dormammu kind of moment.
Don't even get me started on that.
That you can't give them the respawn ability because then they'll win eventually. Right?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, in the game, like in the Souls games, you will always win. The only loss condition is just demoralization of the player.
It's true.
Right? Otherwise, the player always wins.
I learned things about myself playing that game.
I know. Anyways.
I became a level 1 barbarian because just rage. Anyway, it's a really interesting point. But it's something that I wanted to kind of fill in there as well, right? Is because you can go back to the beginning, like we talked about, and okay, I want my guy to have this cool stuff. Or as soon as you figure it out, we're 60% of the way through the campaign and he wants to harness dragons because he wanted his own breath weapon. Right. So he's been feeding his flamethrower pack with like soul gems of dragons so that he can fire maybe a Takisa style 1 of 5 different elemental attacks that blasts out every time, and they recharge on independent timers. And so he's got 6 breath weapons, yada, yada, yada. Right. These are mechanics that you can build up at the beginning.
Yep.
Right. And talk about what's happening. Oh, this town was devastated by acid and frost. Weird.
Right.
What kind of combination is that? There's none of those dragons here. Because we know about dragons. We know about this level. That's weird. So you're giving them clues as to what's going to happen to them real soon. Right. But then it's fair. Then it's not just like, this is BS.
Right.
Like you want us to learn all of this and fight him and he's doing it and he's crushing the prime minister and the princess and my favorite dog, Honcho. What? This is like there's too much going on.
Yes.
But if I feed it to you little by little, when you see it all put together, you go, oh damn, this is real.
Yep. Yeah, this is what it's all been leading up to.
Yes.
It doesn't feel like a surprise. You're like, oh, I should have seen this coming. All right. Right. And it's cool when you come and see that. You're like, oh, the pieces fit together. It's like all the foreshadowing. And now it's the real thing. Yeah.
But speaking of which, because all of these things that we're talking about, the players encountering, once again, I got to hit that nail with the hammer. You need to make sure that the players feel something because honestly and truly, the players are the BBEG of the table. In the concept of whether or not this is an epic campaign, if this is an epic moment. Do they believe that it is? Because if they don't, then you may not have delivered.
From the point of view of the DM.
Yes. Yeah. What you're trying to produce is the best bowl of bolognese that you've ever done.
Right.
But the food critic had one down the street and it's Michelin star. So that's what he just had for lunch, and now he's going to have this one.
Well, your opponent is the critic.
Is the critic.
It's not the food, it's the critic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we want people to leave having had fun and leave having been satisfied. But ultimately, you need to play with those dials and really focus in on what it is that your players are interested in so that you can satisfy their wants and needs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Because they are the ultimate critic in this case, right? You're putting on a play, you're putting on a story together. Yes, I know it's a communal thing, but ultimately, if you can't deliver, or if it lands flat, your vocabulary wasn't colorful and impactful, you didn't like dim the lights every time that thunder went off. I don't know what it is. Whatever you're trying to do, you need to really lean into it. You need to.
I guess so. Like if the players really hate fancy mechanics, they just want a slugfest, and that's what they want, then that's fun. Maybe just do that then.
Maybe give that to them.
Yep.
Add stakes, right? Rocky style, right? There's things going on around this fight that win, lose, draw. There's a different outcome for each one.
Yeah.
And we know what they are, and we only want one of them as players. As the DM, cards land where they may.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But in this moment, the players need to feel satisfied. So give the critics what they want.
Yes. Yep.
Right?
Or you don't get the Michelin star.
And you are a critic too, right?
Okay.
Of what it is. It has to be fun and interesting for you as well.
Yes, of course.
Right? But I think if they're having fun, you're having fun.
It goes a long way for it.
It does. It does. Absolutely. And in order to really get out there and do it, way to touch your players and not. So this is going to come out after I do this at the table, but spoilers for some of us. I think that changing the dynamic of what is happening will also interest people and remove them from being spectators. So I fully plan the first time that my players meet one of their possible BBEGs in this story. By the time this is published, you've already done it, so whatever. I'm going to get up.
Hopefully.
I'm going to monologue walking around the table. I'm going to lay my hand on the shoulder of the fighter and be like, you're feeling strong. I'm going to walk around and, whisper in the bard's ear some sweet nothings, right? To really impact this moment is something that you need to remember.
Right.
This is what, get consent from your parents.
I was just going to say consent is important.
Trust and consent. Yes. Play within the lines. Be respectful. But you
stop slapping me. I don't consent to this.
But neither does the BBEG. Do something extraordinary to create an extraordinary result. Right? There's nothing that says, DMs, you need to have a screen. DMs, you need to stay seated in that chair the entire time. Players, you can only roll dice when I tell you to.
Right.
Right? Like there are no rules that say these things. So why do we?
Or turn off the lights and just have a flashlight.
Fair enough.
Or whatever, just change it up.
Change it up.
Physical,
Make it stand out in their memory because this should stand out in their memory.
Right.
Right? And once again, the critic is the player. So if I can create this as a unique experience for the player,
yes,
then they'll remember it. Fondly, infamously, whatever, they're going to remember.
Right.
Right? And that's the important thing. That's the important part.
Right. Breath weapon. And then give them that little Ziploc bag that you farted in earlier. They smell this.
You load it into the air can and just lob an invisible bomb over. Choking gas. Stinking cloud.
You remember this for your whole life.
Wow.
Consent. People, consent is important.
Yes. Especially in body horror games. Don't get too crazy. But that would be memorable.
There's some really disturbing things in this contract, Byron. I just want to have a couple questions.
Oh, you read it? Most people don't read it. I just need the release signed. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're right. Also, if your campaign comes with a release form,
be careful.
It's a flag. I'm not going to say it's a red flag, but
it's a flag for something.
Things could happen. But this is why if we're
Backpage Craigslist campaigns
in the warehouse, if we're trying to do exceptional, extraordinary things, epic, as we've stated before, you got to put in epic ingredients. Right? You got to do the work to get the result.
Yes.
So awesome. It's very, very true that you got to do that. Additionally, with that, I think is kind of a sub point and kind of what you were talking about then with the mechanics and why do things matter and whatnot.
Yep.
When you've got those multiple phases going on, When you can knock out his cone attack, when you can knock out his shields, when you can save the hostages,
Right.
Because the rogue and ranger snuck around and like freed them, so now he can't crush it, right?
Yeah.
You need to really present how these can be defeated, make the choices impactful. What does it cost them? These are all super important things. But each one of those phases needs to have a reason for being there, or else it devolves back to, this is a new type of sack of hit points that I just need to make to 0. If it's just, every 2 rounds he goes away and a big brute comes out that beats us up.
Right.
But if we kill the brute, then the brute stops coming out. Okay.
Yeah.
Right? It's
more the same. It's more the HP punching.
Now I'm punching A instead of B, or B instead of C. It's not something new, right? It's not different. It's not cool. It's not exciting, right? It's just more of the same. Try and switch it up. Try and have a reason for it.
Right.
And I think the one thing that you didn't mention, though, the true enemy that comes for us all, is time.
I was going to say death, but same thing, yeah.
It's the same thing. Yeah. Death has a pocket watch, and it's always on time. You can increase tension in the PCs and in the player's mind by, you have 4 rounds until this goes off.
Yep.
Right? You get 2 rounds to recover from that last fight before the gong goes off again and the next gate opens.
Right.
You have an unlimited amount of time to deal with this. But the boss is just going to shoot stuff at you. They're immune to spells, but they're just going to shoot little stuff at you.
Right.
Because they got a little orb that automatically counterspells everything within 10 feet. Counters their spells.
Right.
But it also means that the wizard, the druid, the bard can't just unload their big spells on them.
Right.
Until that phase is gone. Why? Because the big bad knew that they have big, powerful spells.
Yeah.
And he can't just let them do that.
Right. Yep.
So do realize what it is that you're doing. Do make things impactful. Do use time. Players are normally totally comfortable going at their own pace.
Don't let them.
Well,
and if you look at the movies, there's always a time limit.
Absolutely.
Right? Even look at Rocky. There's a time limit. There's a round, right?
Oh, that in that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, look at Lord of the Rings. You got the regular cut, you got the director's cut. The 17-hour spell.
But
you're right.
But there is a time limit because things are happening. You need to get that ring into the Mount Doom before, things go sideways.
No, it's absolutely correct. And using layers of time, right? Whether it's, no, you have a month until the engine of destruction, Tarask, right, moves its way across the kingdom and gets to the main city. That's it. That's the goal, is just to prevent the main city from region. We can lose towns. We can lose villages. We can evacuate them, right? We can save it, but we can't let them take the capital city.
Right. Yep.
Okay, we've got a month. Oh, we've got a month. We got 30 days. No problem. 25 days later, like, oh my God, we've accomplished nothing. And we can see it. We can see the cloud of dust and destruction.
Yeah.
Right? Ugh. Do that. Use time. Set those restrictions. Right?
I like it.
Yeah, time's going to be one of the most powerful ones that I think a lot of people don't pay attention.
Well, in so many movies, time is the prime instrument of tension.
Yes.
Right? So
Justin Timberlake knows that very well.
Does he now?
He does. There's that In Time movie with the...
Oh, yeah.
You just die
because he's going to die one day. He's like, oh, everyone dies.
I hope he never dies. I love Justin Timberlake.
I think he's pretty great.
Doom. Anyway, yes. And then I suppose one of the last things that I would want to say about this specifically, because I think we've hit you over the head with a lot of stuff here today. We're brute forcing this, and you deserve a break. So I want to give you a break. But when you're stuck, when ChatGPT stops spitting out good ideas for what your boss can do, and when you've brainstormed and you're just staring at the whiteboard and nothing is coming to you, just take a mental break, grab Monsters of the Multiverse, grab the Monster Manual, grab a completely different edition thing, Tome of Beasts, right? Kobold Press, fantastic and creative team. Go there and just peruse through what they do with their legendary monsters. Go check it out. Go see what other designers believe a CR25 should do as their legendary actions, right? Do go through it. Do make sure that they have a basic attack, a move. Some legendary things don't include a move. A move can be so powerful.
Yep.
Right? Make sure that they've got a multi-action cost big effect that they can do, whether it's on a recharge or not. Go in, just look, read, and then, like we've told everybody else, reflavor. Take it, reflavor it, make it your own, right? There's nothing wrong with doing that, especially when you're out of ideas.
Right. No, it's true. I mean, and even if you want to like add more, want some more ideas about combat mechanics wise, beyond combat mechanics, like the encounter mechanic, encounter gameplays, you can go looking on YouTube and be like, oh, pick your whatever MMO and be like, what's this raid boss? And then, because they all have great mechanics. Of, oh, this happens, you have to move here, do this, they have to, people have to come together here, but not together there.
Yep.
Right? And then, like you said, just reflavor it.
Yes, absolutely. Go back and look through all of the raid bosses of every WoW expansion.
And they're pretty great.
And what they do, they're very, very
good news, everybody.
I fixed the slime pipe. I can't remember what that is. Professor something. Sludgefist is another one where he knocks out the pillars and drops the thing on. Karazhan with the dragon and the 3 beams. Right there. There's many versions of cool stuff out there that you don't have to lift the weight by yourself.
Right. Well, they're professionals who design that stuff.
Correct. So don't plagiarize necessarily, but take inspiration.
Yes.
Find that and then go, well, what would I do with that? How could I make it work? Like your shield thing. Well, that sounds like what is that? Is that a wall of force? Is that a free wall of force that you get? Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a recharging a 2 legendary action point thing that he does. Boom, I get a wall of force for 3 or D4 plus 1 rounds, whatever it is.
It's just a bunch of kobolds in his backpack with big shields.
Maybe it's the what's that ability called? The Tomb of Leviticus, where it's just it summons
the
a
ice block.
Yeah, but it has a certain amount of hit points.
Yep.
So we can choose to continue using our resources to drop the shield before he's ready, or we have to run away. Maybe we haven't defeated that big blast effect. And we don't want to get, maybe we have. We don't have to run anymore. The fighter can just keep wailing on him. Maybe it's got 500 hit points total.
Or maybe you want to just leave him in there and I'm just going to figure out this blast thing first.
Yes.
Right? Interesting choices. Yeah. I don't need to be right here when he comes back out because it's more advantageous that I defeat this particular part of the entire thing before we get back to just ground and pound. Yeah.
And it's still epic if it ends in an HP race. It is still possibly epic if that's the last part of it, because you had to defeat multiple things to get there when you are weak, when you are yo-yoing at 1-0 hit points, when, you are running out of spell slots. That makes it way cooler.
No, it does. It really does.
Like Fonzie.
The Fonz.
Yes.
Bam.
Include a jumping shark. I don't know. Why the hell not?
Really? Why the hell not?
We're in a volcano layer. Where the hell did that shark come from? And he's like, oh, sorry, that was lunch. He just hits you with a shark. Why don't dragons wield sharks? That would be amazing.
Oh, to the Walmart. No, to the Florida man.
Oh, to the Florida man. That's a gator. But yeah, the upgrade.
No, it is cool. I mean, and doing all these things, I think will really make things super epic.
Miami Avenger.
Miami Avenger.
It's a great way.
But now I want to pull things back a little bit.
Oh,
to really make things
zoom out,
epic. Yeah, even more. And just I want to maybe
bigger,
sort of make you aware of maybe how to think about the meaning of your boss fights, your last boss fight, or really your entire campaign almost. And really, I think in all the best sort of stories, heroes and the villains, they are people or entities, whatever, right? But more importantly than that, they're metaphors. Like Rocky and Dragov? I forget that guy's name.
Go on.
Anyways, they're more than just boxers. Right? They're the embodiment of several ideas.
More than boxers.
Correct.
Yes.
And I think if you want your last boss battle to feel really epic, you should also try to think of that as well. Like, what does the boss represent? What do the heroes represent? What ideas are fighting it out in this battle? Right? Not the people. What's the ideas? What's the ideologies? The beliefs that are competing to see which one is victorious, right? So it's a battle of ideas, and the epic battle at the end should be a question, right? That you're asking. using these two ideas, right? And whichever wins the battle, that's also the answer to your question.
Great example of this recently, semi-recently, is the end of Unsleeping City. The first run of it. I don't know, spoilers, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But the bad guy is the American dream.
Yeah.
Right? And what that means to certain people and how they twist it. Right? And all of the aspects that go into that. Is it good? Yes, it's good. Is it evil? It can be evil. Right. And how individual people react with it and what that means to everybody. Great, as an example.
Yeah.
Great, powerful media.
Yes. I mean, it's like, what are the dangers? What can be the danger of the American dream, right? Like, if you want like sort of concrete ideas of what that question is, like, what does that mean? The battle should be a question, right? The battle should, like, for example, what is a hero? It's a question that you can ask. Like, is the bad guy the hero, or am our party the hero? Like, was, as much as there are holes in that movie, is Thanos a hero? Right? Did he do the right thing and make it the biggest sacrifice? Is that the hero, or is Captain America and that team the heroes? Right, and that's the question for that entire series, or one of the questions, I should say. Or like, what's the real meaning of strength?
Right.
What is true strength? Like, what is better to have if you can't have both? Equality or freedom?
Right.
Right. Or is it better to be safe or to be free? Something else could be, are there any people who cannot be redeemed? And there are so many questions. And I know it gets philosophical, but again, that expands the battle beyond just the fight now, and it expands your stakes. And even though the players may not be able to cognitize that this is the question that's being asked, and this is the symbols and the metaphors that's being used, they'll feel it.
This gives you infinite orthogonal or creative space.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is it? It's a concept that does not actually have an answer. So what are the limits? There is no limit.
I mean, and even better, if you go back to the beginning of the episode, right? And
this episode?
Yeah, and you go right to the start, right? And you're building the ingredients. If you ask the question right then like, what is the best plate of spaghetti? Right? Then you can explore the answer all the way through a campaign. And at the end, it's satisfying, it's epic because that's the answer.
I'm definitely going to go explore that once we get teleported back.
I know, I'm so hungry talking about it. So just a quick little bit to put on top of this epic boss battle cake. It's cherry on top. And I think it just adds that extra depth and layer and meaning to your entire thing.
Don't be afraid to lean into those things. Because you might not answer the question. Not definitively.
A lot of these questions don't have a proper answer.
Right. But you can claim victory in the exploration of the idea in this perspective, in this manner.
Right.
Right.
At least know what you think a little more clearly of that question, how you feel the answer is. Because usually they're very nuanced things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then if it's that feeling where you watch the end of the movie, you're like, what did I just watch? And why is my mind reeling? I don't know. Like, what's the meaning? There's something here, right? That I can't quite grasp. Like Inception at the end, you're like, oh, there's something that it's talking about, and I don't. And it makes you think about it, and then it becomes bigger than just a dude who just goes in people's dreams and puts ideas in there.
Not in the dream, in their mind, but yes.
But
Yes.
Yeah. So top things off. Try to think of your villains and your heroes as metaphors, and their interaction as a question, and the exploration of that question.
Well, what a great way to end it. I think you out there, how many of you would take a weighted D20 as your totem if you were mind delving like an Inception person? Throw a like up or jump in the comments and say what you would take in there for your. He's touching it. Get in the comments. Let us know. Let us know, quintessential things that made the last time that you experienced an epic boss fight or an epic moment, what it was that made it so epic. What were the ingredients going back through that 2020 hindsight to see how good that dish was?
Yeah. No, I think that's a great question. You gave me a death stare. I like it.
Well, I was Byron.
And I'm Sean.
And Cavity and Catch-Ups, thanks you for watching. Feel free to check us out and go through the rest of our media catalog. We've got quite a few videos up now. It's really nice.
Some. Yeah, I'm getting there.
Yeah. We're 1/20th centennial past, so
yeah,
beauty 1 in 5, baby. But yes, thank you so much for joining us. Let us know in the comments what you thought.
Yep.
And all of the things. Let us know. Beyond that, check out our Patreon and our Twitter, Facebook. Come hit us up. We'd love to hear from you and all of the things that you do to make D&D the best thing ever.
And we'll see you next time.
Or else. You're the BBEG of my life.